We are in building 6 of the Intuit campus, and what you can't see is that about maybe 150 feet in that direction is the table where Scott Cook and his wife were sitting when she couldn't balance their checkbook, and he became up with the idea of it for Quicken, and that's how Intuit was born. So it's very exciting. Anyway, we're super excited to be here. We have all this fancy technology. Sorry for the little hiccups, but we're here now. Liz, did you go ahead and go on Facebook Live, or are we good to go?
No. Sarah, did we get on Facebook Live?
No, but I log in right now.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. Let us know if you get stuck. Okay, so makes me excited to hear about the table, because the table is definitely where it all began. And the table is just a basic table. It's just a very, very normal traditional table. The only thing that's different about it than a lot of our kitchen tables is it has glass on it to preserve it. But we are definitely here at the Intuit campus, and we're having fun. The reason that we're here is we are post-pandemic, and how do we move forward? What is our next? What's it's great how that camera just moves around. Yeah, it's not distracting at all. So we're here to broaden relationships. And as far as talking about relationships, we are thankful to have Tipalti with us today. I'm going to go ahead and share our slides so that way we can get started.
All right. Yay! We are good to go. Do you want to hit? There we go. So we've got our slides. So super excited to have Tipalti on with us. We're going to be doing a deep dive into how to service your mid-market clients with Tipalti and global payments automation. So very exciting.
It is very exciting. And, as you know, a lot of the move towards being able to help those mid-level clients has been a desire of QuickBooks for a while. And so to be able to have these types of solutions like Tipalti to be able to serve this mid-market clientele is very important to being able to expand who we can work with. So we're grateful to have you here. Heather, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm Heather Satterlee. I am the founder and owner of Satterlee Business Solutions, which includes Satterlee Training and Consulting, which is focused on process automation. So helping our clients, both accountants and their clients, right, businesses, to automate and streamline their processes using technology. And all of that is focused around QuickBooks. The QuickBooks ecosystem. So I also have an accounting firm called Satterlee Accounting Services, where we service small business clients. So that's me, and I am located in Rhode Island, and I'm really happy to be here.
And I'm Liz Scott, so most of you know me, so hi. And those of you who don't, I also have a firm that's in Oklahoma, and we also service clients that are in the QuickBooks ecosystem, and that for us means that the best client fit for us is those who need solutions. And so we're looking at what all can we bring in from the ecosystem to be able to assist those clients in their needs. We want to say thank you to our Champagne Level sponsor. They dropped the practice, so now it's just Ignition.
It's super exciting that, we were part of that whole rebrand. So they're our Champagne Level sponsor, and we're working very closely with them in 2022. And I love this. I love their new logo. The other really exciting thing about Ignition is that they just kicked off their 2022 top 50 women in accounting. So go nominate a woman that has inspired you in the accounting industry. They do that list every year, and today is actually International Women's Day, and they always launch it on International Women's Day. So here, tipping our hats to all of the women pioneers that have blazed the path for us. Thank you. And for all of the women that are working tirelessly to better our profession and, fighting the fight for equality, and, thank you. So huge holiday for me anyway. Nice. International Women's Day.
Absolutely. And so we also want to say thank you to Tipalti, who is here. And so many of you who have heard me talk about Tipalti before know that the reason that I'm an advocate for it is that it truly is this end-to-end solution for those types of businesses that really have complex needs. It's the perfect fit. So we're going to be able to hear about more about that. And I want to go ahead and introduce Matthew. Matthew, or can you hear me?
Unmuted. There we go. Thanks so
Yay.
much, Liz and Heather. Really appreciate it. It's
Hi,
great to be here
Matthew.
today. Yeah, so as my description says, I head up AP partner and industry marketing for Tipalti. A big focus for us is working more with the Intuit QuickBooks community, and you'll hear some updates from us there, but excited to meet you all and looking forward to talking about Tipalti today.
Yay. Fantastic. And then Chris, are you here? Can you?
I am here, and I appreciate you having me. How's everything going, everybody? Happy International Women's Day.
Thank
So
you.
I'm Alliance Manager here at Tipalti, handling the SMB and mid-market ERPs, including QuickBooks. So that's why I'm here today to talk about Tipalti and how it operates in the QuickBooks system. And I've been working in the fintech space for a little over 7 years and working with CPAs, bookkeepers, consulting firms within these spaces to help them better streamline their clients' finances and how they operate internally for their services.
Well, we are grateful that you are both here, and we're going to go ahead and talk about, this episode is really focused on how do we serve this group of clients that need help with their accounts payable. It's a big pain, and so there are a lot of clients out there who are still suffering from an inbox full of paper that is mail, that is then also email. So being able to aggregate all of that into one place to be able to offer a solution that can assist them into powering a solution that would help them into a more streamlined environment.
And automation. I'm
going to go ahead and say this is a great time to be able to our drink. Woo. But this is a great time to be able to pass over the presenter role. So I'm going to stop sharing. And that way we can go ahead and hear from Matthew and Chris. Which one of you wants to take over the sharing so you can walk us through? There you go, Chris.
I'll take it over. Why not? So we appreciate you again allowing us to come on to your show. We're really excited to be here and being able to share with your community about who we are and educating the space on what we can do. So just at a high level, if after the call, you have any questions, need extra detail, screenshot this, write this down right now, so you can reach out and let us know that you want additional help, questions, or things answered for you. Or if you want a more in-depth demonstration with Vita Azadi, who's on the call with us today, we can schedule that and get that on the books for you. So jumping into who we are and what we do at a high level, Tipalti was founded in 2010. We're still a startup. We're still growing. We're still agile. What we have built started from the payments world, and we specialize in payments, especially international payments. And we've grown exponentially since. We have over 2,000 customers to date. We're operating with over $30 billion in annual transactions that are being processed through Tipalti. And how we do that is we're a licensed money transmitter. So we make the payments on your behalf for your clients or for your business. We have a 99% customer retention rate. So when you join Tipalti, we typically don't lose those customers. We scale as they grow, and we're a very sticky solution. So if you're offering or referring services to your clients like a Tipalti, that just shows well on you as well, because it's a sticky solution. So you also retain your clients for much longer, and it lowers the attrition rate for the accounting softwares that they may have to upgrade to, let's say, a NetSuite or anything after that, because their business is scaling and growing. They'll be able to stay with you a little bit longer. With Tipalti, we help to lower and reduce a lot of the manual processes for streamlining end-to-end payments. So we do everything from onboarding your vendors and suppliers all the way through to the payment, approvals of invoices, tax collection, and these are all the things that Vita will go through in just a few minutes. And after the payments are made, you can then reconcile it right into your QuickBooks solution. So this is these are the stats that we're seeing today within the environment for clients that have made a move from what they were doing to Tipalti. So a lot of them are doing a ton of manual onboarding. They have poor supplier management, meaning they'll be calling vendors and suppliers and asking for all their details after the payments have been made, and they can't get those vendors or suppliers to produce that information. If you're getting it ahead of time, you're able to curb that and get all that information on the upfront so that they're not chasing it down on the back end. And we're also able to help with your tax reporting, which is super important for the bookkeepers and CPAs that I've been working with, being tax compliant, having more visibility and transparency. These are the few things that we allow you to get access to within your payments processes. I'm going to pass it over to Matt.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Chris. And first, just to preface this, I wanted to just talk about how dedicated we are to the Intuit QuickBooks community. So for a long time, we've been working with QuickBooks Online. We do have API integration. Vita's going to talk a little bit about how we work directly with QuickBooks. We are able to also integrate with QuickBooks Desktop. We are here to provide an enterprise level solution to mid-market clients. And what we've heard a lot from the community, especially the Intuit QuickBooks community, is it can be difficult in working with clients that have more complexity, that are scaling quickly, that are starting to grow and move to a more global footprint, on what to recommend for them. And we understand that not all global payables automation solutions are global or are the same, really. So if we go back to that, actually, we missed, there we go. So what I want to put this up here is I think these are a couple of solutions that many of you have already heard about because they've been around for a little bit of time. This is in addition to some solutions like Melia, for example, that the QuickBooks community uses. And those are great. And what we would say is those are solutions that for a young company that has low complexity, under 50 employees, maybe domestic only, low payment volumes, and really just want the ability to make payments and recognize them in QuickBooks. Bill.com is great. So they're one that many are already familiar with. And that's a solution that for those low complexity companies works great. On the other side of that, you've seen a company like Coupa, for example. And those are large enterprise, 10,000 and above employees. They need a full procure to pay solution. It's also an emphasis on procurement and sourcing and bids and that type of thing. And it's a high cost implementation, very time and resource intensive. So where Tipalti really works well is finding that middle ground of bringing the large enterprise level capabilities to the mid-market clients that you're servicing on a regular basis. So where do we fit really well? Well, it's 50 to 100 plus employees, hyper growth, the need for scale and agility, having the ability to be able to make payments globally anywhere in the world. Like Chris had mentioned, we're a licensed money transmitter. We operate just like any other financial institution that is regulated by the global banking system, which is important, especially in this day and age. We have the most amount of payment methods and currency choices out of any payable solution out there. We can scale with the clients that we work with. So a lot of questions come out is, should we hire somebody new or should we invest in a new solution from an AP perspective? We provide that ability to help your clients scale as they go and not need to add additional headcount. We also have advanced approval routing, the ability to provide PO management to our customers as well. And a big thing, and this is something that comes up a lot with mid-market clients, especially those that are scaling rapidly and starting to go global, is how do I manage all of these new suppliers? Well, one thing is Tipalti is able to do that up front. We collect all that information, whether it's tax information, IDs, payment preferences, banking information, all the approvers. So any suppliers that are going to be paid via Tipalti have submitted all of that information up front, and then we're tracking that against 26,000 rules. We're making sure that they're scanned against OFAC and blacklists across the globe. So it's really providing that enterprise level trust to the mid-market here. And so, and again, just to mention, is this going to take forever to get up and running for your clients? No, it's a fast time to value. And it really provides the ability to treat your suppliers as partners and reduce that supplier churn, which is very important as you are growing and as you are scaling. Do we have any questions here on anything we just said? Now we can move on to the technical area. How about Liz?
You know, I think I would just like to throw in a comment that as somebody, you were saying it doesn't take long to get started, and as somebody who has used the system, I agree with you that it is very quick. There's a couple of emails that go out that help you to get onto the platform. So I've been able to use the platform from both an end user point of view and then also from a payables point of view. And there's definitely it's an easy system to be able to understand. It's an easy system to be able to onboard. And I think we're going to get to be able to see some of it, so that way to share just how you go on to be able to, as a vendor, to be able to go through those steps to onboard.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that, Liz. And I did see a question come through that Vita's going to take in a little bit as we get into our technical information. So why don't we go down to the next slide?
Perfect.
We'll pass along to Vita. Thank you.
Yeah. So hello, ladies. Hi, Liz. Hi, Heather. Nice to meet you. Thank you for the opportunity to present to you. My name is Vita Izadi. I'm a senior solution consultant joining you from the San Francisco Bay Area. And my background is in finance. I have a degree in finance. I worked my way through college by working in finance in different capacities, AP, purchasing, AR, and finally junior accountant. So I have lived what you see on this wheel, and I have done it all manually, and I have also done it via ERPs. So very first off, what we have in front of you is the Tipalti Global Payables solution. So what you see is how we can take the information from a supplier and have them register. Someone asked a question that, so a supplier, a vendor, a payee has to go in and key that information. Not necessarily. If I'm accounts payable or someone on the finance team, I can gather that information and key it myself. So put it into the Tipalti system. Preference and what we see best practice our clients are doing is that they are actually using the supplier management portal to capture that information, to do the fact checking, as Matt mentioned. Because we are a licensed money transmitter, we can do the OFAC checking, make sure that those rules are kicking in the background and able to fact check that. We also gather the tax portion of that to make sure that we're staying compliant. And something that's new, I don't know, Liz, I know you use the system. This is something new, is being able to kick off purchase orders. So having a way to do purchase recs and have an approval, have a budget tied into it, bring in the contracts, match it against it. And then let's not forget about invoice processing, right? Bringing the invoices in, matching it up against the POs, and also making it as touchless as possible to get that invoice in the hands of the individuals that need to approve it. And then not losing sight of the fact that we are a licensed money transmitter. Chris and Matt are going to laugh because I call this our beauty queen. This is where we got our start. We can pay into 196 countries, 120 currencies, and all these different payment methods, which allows us to do hedging of funds. Like I have a company that is in the wine business, import and export. They have locked in on certain currencies for the year. Also being able to do currency conversion within the solution. And last but not least is reconciliation reporting. Don't lose sight of the fact that we have this all as a SaaS model. We have AI working in the background, and all of this information that we're capturing at certain points is going back into QBO or QuickBook Desktop and hitting the right GL, updating the information, invoice images going there. So that is our solution. And if possible, if we do have time, I love to show you a live demo of it. I see Liz shaking her head.
Absolutely. We love live demos. So anytime that we get that opportunity, that's fascinating. And to be able to see it in motion is wonderful.
Perfect. It says host disabled participant also for me.
Let's.
No worries. Thanks. Let's see if it'll work.
All right, no, just give me a second. I'm gonna.
Oh, okay. Thank
we're
you,
having
Heather.
A little bit of technical difficulties here, so I am going to make.
And Liz, we need to get you a Tipalti sticker for you too also.
Definitely. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll send that out.
So I just made one of the happy hours the host. So not sure which one.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Heather.
Fantastic.
So imagine if you would, this is the Tipalti AP Hub. I'm going to put my AP specialist hat on. Imagine if you would, I have to go into the system. I have invoices or maybe payments I have to do, check on my payees. So this is just to orient you as if you were walking into a new built house. Payments are here. This is where we're making payments. Bills, of course, very self-explanatory. Bills are coming in and they go through their journey. Also my payees that I need to manage, right? And administration is where I set everything up for this engine to hum along and run. And I can access my different subsidiaries from here. So making it very easy to navigate based on where I want to go. Our story really begins with Payees. Someone in chat asked the question. So let's start there. How do we get the Payees information into the system? I did mention that there is the ability that I can key that information in as a payables specialist. So I know it's a company or it's an individual. So all we need is a payee ID. And I'll key this in, I receive their tax manually. But let's say that we want to extend the offer out to our payee to come and onboard. And maybe our payee happens to be in France or Germany. This is supported in 17 different languages, so our payees can board based on their language. The other thing not to lose sight is that we do have folks that might not be comfortable onboarding again. So there's a committee, there's a group that is here in Tipalti. We can deploy them to reach out to those payees, to give them the white glove treatment, to say, hey, do you need help to onboard? But at the end of the day, if we are sending out a supplier invite, they would get a token invite that will drive them to the portal. So it's an email, think of an email, because there's certain actions within Tipalti that create reactions. So the supplier, now we're changing lenses. This is the supplier coming on onboarding here. And if you do remember back to where Chris had that PowerPoint up with 67% of payment errors reduced based on using a portal such as this. This is what he was talking about. Here is a supplier that is onboarding in the language that they want to onboard and walking them through every step of the way, right? So where do you reside? What company are you? Why do we want to know this? We are able to do OFAC, sanction lists. There's about 7 other listings we bounce this information up against to make sure it's valid. And let's not lose sight of our beauty queen. We're paying into 196 countries. So all the countries represented here. Better than that is the fact that our friends to the north, Canada, they don't have states, they have provinces. So if I change that, that's going to change. So we're complying with that also, making sure every step of the way, we have the information that's needed to capture that. So the downstream effect of that is that finance teams don't have to worry, oh my God, what do I have to capture? We're going to be paying in Lithuania or Pakistan. What do we do? What do we capture? And also taking that to the payment side of things, because in Pakistan or Egypt, there's prepaid debit card and PayPal and wire. We don't have checks. We don't have direct deposit ACH. Every step of the way, the business rules have been accommodating all the different functionality and all the different keying that's happening. And even this charcuterie of payments can be adjusted based on the client's needs, right? So client mine will tell me, hey, Vita, I don't want them to know that you can pay via PayPal. We'll take that off of here. And it doesn't have to be the payee's PayPal account. They can use Tipalti's PayPal account. Last but not least is being able to capture tax information. I will say that I have clients that will say, you know what, I don't really need that. So we turn that off. They don't have to even see this. But at the end of the day, when I started doing payables, I was getting questions, what's a W-9? And I love the fact that KPMG put a questionnaire here that steps the individual, the payee, through a series of questions, really trying to understand, do you even need to fill out a W-9 form or W-8 or a VAT or whatever your local tax ID is? Know that we are bouncing the W-9 up against the IRS portal to fact check that, make sure it's correct. But I would be remiss not to point out, this is what I did out of college, is I was the help desk and I was vetting calls from payees. Hey, where's my check? Did I get paid? So when I see this, this is like, wow, this is awesome. Now a payee can come in here and say, oh, wow, my check is being deferred. They're holding it. Why is that? Oh, wow. Okay. I did not provide them a tax form. Well, we better get on that and know that we are what one of my client calls different degrees of hostility. We are sending the payee an email, alerting them, hey, you need to give us a tax form. We need that before we can release your payment. They do get advised that they've been given a payment and the link is there for them to come here. If they are submitting invoices, easy peasy, right here, right? A dedicated mailbox also, we can mention that to the right, this real estate space, their invoice history, there's no surprises. If we move the invoice through a process, you will see that the status will change and it will present itself and let us know that, hey, I'm getting paid, or this is what's happening with my payment due date. So that is the vision, and this is the view from the perspective of a payee. Now, let's come back, switch hats. Now, the journey of the invoice. We're all wanting to know what happens to an invoice, right? Does it go in a black hole? No, as soon as invoices come in, they have a waiting room, right? So to say. So here are the things that Tipalti is doing. We're using machine learning AI in the background to pull the information up to the forefront to let AP and finance teams know that there's a duplicate. We're also using OFACT, OCR, and we're using a managed services team and AI working in the background to read the invoice and allocate the information to the right-hand side. And we also can use a rules table in the background to approve the invoices, or we can actually allow AI to give us the information. Know that this information that's come in, that's in my hands as AP, once I click submit here, this information with the image of the invoice is going back in QBO. Also, when the payee onboards, that information is going back to QBO and creating a record for that vendor, right? So keep in mind that in the background, it is happening. So the update's happening. Is it me as an AP finance person pressing the button for it to go over? No, we use APIs to make sure that that information is succinct and going over. at the end of the day, we can have our approvers come into the system to approve their invoices, or they could do it off of an email, off of their mobile device. But knowing that we have to pay these invoices, your pending payment is going to let you know, hey, who do I want to pay? I can dice and slice my payment based on location, department, entities, or I can say all of them, just like previously, I can approve all of them by checking that. I can send all of these bills to be paid. We all know that we are in finance. At the end of the day, things that happen in day life of payables person. Hey, knocking on your door, I want partial payment. Or we have to cut a check and pay them manually. Well, we need to update QBO, right? So if we mark that, that's going to go over and update QBO. Think of all the things that we have thought about, not we, Chris, Matt, and I, but Tipalti has thought about how can we automate this and make it as touchless as possible. Last but not least, in terms of journey of the invoice, let's get these invoices paid. If Liz and Heather said, hey, Vita, you have 1 second, this would be where I would come to. I would say, this is what Tipalti can do. Tipalti can pay all your payees, all your invoices based on different payment methods, based on different currencies, right? And let's say that now finance, treasury is looking at this and they can approve this. We can have 1-level approval or 2-level approval. Well, that's all good and well. Well, let's say Liz happens to want to move from Oklahoma to the UK, and she has an invoice with us. Well, she's going to call and say, hey, Vita, accounts payable, I have this invoice for $1,000, and can you pay me in euros? Because now I've decided to move overseas. Well, Heather is my CFO. I can call her and say, spot rate, this is what it is. What do you think? Are we going to pay our payee in that? If she says, okay, I go to the next one, choose the invoices, and Bob's your uncle. We're done. She gets paid that. In the old days, when I was doing this, I had relationships with First Union, Bank of America, Wachovia, Wells Fargo. I was calling all these banks for my CFO, Heather, trying to get a best spot rate, come back, but I've lost all that time, right? And meanwhile, Liz, my payee, is getting frustrated, wants payment. So we made this as easy and simple as it is for our clients to know that this is how much you need to fund Tipalti, who is a licensed money transmitter that will move the funds on your behalf and pay your payees and get them paid in time. And if you are doing currency conversions, let's give them the tool all in one place where they can do that. So the funds required lets me know, like in the old days, I would go and get the big book of a journal to see how much money was in the bank. Now I'm looking at it all online. I can see this is my financial obligation for all my USD invoices, my European invoices getting paid in there. Tipalti acting like a bank, we open FBO accounts to up to 30 currency accounts. But at the end of the day, clients are pushing the funds to Tipalti into an FBO sweep account. And if they're there by a certain time, we will go in there and withdraw the money and pay those invoices on time, right? So that is really, if you think of the cycle of that wheel, we talked at 6, 7 o'clock about payments. And then last but not least, before I hand it to the beautiful ladies here, Liz and Heather, is our reporting, right? What can we do for reporting? When I was doing reporting, my 1099s were all manual, and that's cumbersome. Now we can have this all in one location. If you're doing W-8s, there's your 1042. If I'm doing aging reports, that's all in here. Of course, remember at the time of payment, we're also sending that information back in QBO, right? We have to make sure that the journals are balancing my debits and credits. So we're doing that also, but I can come in here and run a reconciliation report. So that real quickly is a tour of Tipalti. We did a quick harbor tour. So any questions, any comments before I hand it to the beautiful ladies here?
I have a question. I love this, and I'm really excited about all the additional functionality. I love the, the transparency of the availability of funds. It really does give you a dashboard that allows you to manage cash and manage your AP. And this tax form thing, you guys included the 1042S, which makes me super excited because we're in a global economy, right? And so
Yes.
more and more of our clients have this need. So is there any plan, and this is just me being the geek person that I am, is there any plan I see, I can see that you can download a CSV of these reports. Any plans to do any integrations with some of our 1099 preparation applications? Or are you guys going to have that functionality added so I can actually prepare and submit my 1099s and 1042s through Tipalti?
Yeah, so thank you for that question. We do have Tax 1099 and Sobos as our partners,
Awesome.
which streamlines that. So Heather, you,
Thanks.
like I probably, and Liz, have used this where it was all manual. Now the file is prepared and it's very seamless where it goes over, they do the e-filing, they send notices, and it simplifies it, right? Very easy.
That's awesome. I mean, really 1099s, and I think all of our friends that are on today's call, 1099s are hard. They're a lot of effort. They're really frustrating, especially when we're working with growing businesses, right? Because let's face it, our growing business owners and our clients, their first priority is not to stay compliant. That's why they're working with us. And so we're the ones that are doing the heavy lifting to make sure that we have the information, that we're getting those compliance tasks done. So whenever we have a place where our clients are happy because they have a really great solution in their day-to-day operations, but then we also have this incredible integration that makes our jobs easier, it's just such a win-win.
And Heather, something you said made me think of coming to documents. I don't know if you knew this. This is something that we can do, is that if a payee, a supplier, submits a document to us that's a compliance form, we can have one level approval. So someone's eyes on it to review it to make sure it's filled out correctly and it has everything before we submit it here and we accept it as a valid, legit document. So I wanted to showcase that
Fantastic.
also. There's nothing
Yeah.
here right now, but that's what it would be used for.
Absolutely, absolutely. We had a question in the Q&A, and I think,
Vida, you might have answered it.
yeah, it looked like it said Matthew was going to answer it live. Is that one all set?
Oh,
Yeah, we're good. Okay,
We're
perfect.
good? Okay, awesome. I'll stop sharing and hand it over back to you, lovely ladies. Thank you so much.
well, that was a really nice demo. Do you mind go ahead and sharing your screen again, Vida? Because you're doing such a wonderful job. That the other area that is one of my favorites is looking at the reconciliation screen.
Definitely.
So going
Yes.
back to that, for a lot of us, we're often wondering what all was paid in a bundle or a group of payments. And being able to have that reconciliation screen is really nice. Can you walk us through it a little bit more?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if you noticed this as I was in here, is that every step of the way, you can actually run reports. So if I'm looking at this badge and now I'm a finance person, right? And AP hasn't told me what invoices are getting paid, I can run a report to see that information here. Or I can just go into reports and say, hey, I want to run a reconciliation report. And since we are not deleting anything, as soon as you become a client of ours, we're able to run a report and go back in time. And maybe I want to see all the reconciliation for only my USD, right? So all my invoices that are in USD, I can do that. I can download this spreadsheet and I can send it on its way to whoever wants to review it. And I have a spreadsheet if anyone is interested in seeing the reconciliation report, what it looks like. So I'm happy to share that with you. But know that these reports that we have is really meant for folks that have access to this. When I come here, sometimes I'll get a question asked that, oh, can we send this to the payees? This is an AP hub. This is just for accounts payable, right? So have that lens on, and let me pull this up and share one of these reconciliation reports and show you. And these are Excel spreadsheets, right? So once this kicks off.
Appreciate you being able to show us the product live and
Yeah,
also answer these questions on the fly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
And I think
worries.
we got a question in the chat from Gita Faust. Are there any restrictions by industry?
I would say there is not, but I wouldn't call it a restriction. Where I see some uniquenesses that comes in when I work with non-for-profits, and there's giving out grants. And in terms of grants, they kick off a PO and they want to do prepayments on that grant. And that gets to be tricky, right? I wouldn't say there's problems with that, but that is tricky in terms of the prepayments, kicking off that PO, having that all consolidated in one place. That's where I see the little glitch there that we're trying to work on. I don't know, I'll ask the audience here, anyone that's doing non-for-profit, and what do they do? Because that's what I've run across in the 2 years that I've been here with Tipalti. Did that answer the question that came up about, are there anything that glitches or anything in particular? And this is actually, oh, sorry. This is just a spreadsheet. And as you can see, there's a lot of information here. So it just dumps it out into an Excel spreadsheet. I can run my macros in terms of what kind of data that I want to pull out and send it on its way, save it. And if you're really good with Excel, you can do charts, you can do KPIs within Excel also.
Vita, I have to ask this last question because, everybody knows me as the Zapier queen, right? So you guys have any integration with Zapier or other automation platforms?
So interesting you bring Zapier as they were the client that I did the presentation for. They're one of our customers. And one of the first things, they actually joined 2 years ago. They've been using us. And one of the first things that I said to them, once you're up and running, we want to do integration. It is on our roadmap, so we'll keep you posted. So maybe next time we come online, we could talk about that, huh?
Awesome.
Perfect. Let me stop sharing.
Thank you again for that really nice demo. We appreciate that. And being on the fly and answering all of the questions as they come in. And we always love all of the questions. Well,
my pleasure.
As many of you can see, we had a special guest that has joined us.
Yay.
And so we would like to move into talking about where we are at the moment. We are at the Intuit campus, and we were sharing that earlier. And one of the reasons that we are here is we're talking about how do we help these relationships? How do we build forward? And part of that is working with solutions like Tipalti. Part of that is also being able to reach into the community and the ecosystem and build out these business solutions to be able to be end-to-end compliant and user-friendly and meet the needs of all of our clients. And so that is where our special guest fits in perfectly.
Hi.
So this is Jeremy Seltzer.
Jeremy, yes, yeah.
And he is the VP of, I'm going to get it wrong, apps,
So developers and partners.
developers and partners.
Yes.
Yes, perfect. And so solutions is a big part of where you spend a lot of your focus.
Yep.
And over the course of the last couple of years, I would say that a lot of our clients, we're seeing trend towards moving from QuickBooks Desktop over into QuickBooks Online.
Yep. Yeah.
And that move is making it easier for a lot of our clients to move into apps.
Yeah.
So have you
Yeah.
seen like some statistics or where are all the
Yeah,
apps going?
absolutely. So first of all, thank you for having me. And also,
Pleasure.
I have to say, although I know this campus well, I didn't know this room existed.
Oh, wow.
So,
It's like the room of requirement.
yeah,
Harry Potter.
exactly,
That's-
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm Jeremy. My team and I lead the developers and partners segment at Intuit. And the way I describe that is small businesses who we serve have many jobs that they need to do to run their business. And some of them, like accounting and payments and payroll, are things that QuickBooks can help with. And then there's a slew of other tools and apps and services that they use that we don't provide. And so having that really easy ability to connect those apps is really important. And that's what my team exists to do. We create the open APIs and platforms that enable third parties to integrate. And we also have a focus on making it easy for customers to find and connect to those apps. So some statistics you mentioned, it depends on the data source. We've done a lot of deep dives into this. Depending on the size of the business, I think the average for the mid-market customer, they would tend to use something like 19 or 20 different apps to run their business. And I've seen some that scale up to like over 70. And some of those in the over 70s are spending, hundreds of thousands of dollars, let alone the manual workarounds and processes of just having multiple tabs open, trying to auto-reconcile data across. On the simpler side of the business, what we find is your average SMB uses like 4, maybe 7 to run their business. But even still, I sit down with a lot of customers and a lot of developers, and what they say is, hey, I'm using QuickBooks and maybe I'm getting paid on PayPal or I'm selling on eBay. And even with just those two using together, if they haven't connected them together, if they're or manually reconciling their payments data from PayPal to QuickBooks or trying to catch up their transactions from eBay into QuickBooks, that is manual. It's costing a ton of time. It creates mistakes as well. And so what we found is, we have tens of thousands of apps available. There's about 700 or so that are published. And we have north of 1 million customers who are connected to our apps as well. So it's a important strategy for us in a growing space.
Wow, that's a lot of apps. So say that number again, that currently there's how many that can fit into ecosystems?
So we have about 700 or so that are published. There's a whole bunch that are unpublished as well. And a lot of these are systems integrators or teams that have created workarounds, or even savvy businesses who have built some data layer or exchange data that they've kept as it solves their need, but they're not going to go out and sell it. And there's a whole slew of options out there.
And that's fascinating to me. I actually worked with a client this fall where I started to build a custom app on Intuit Developer. So
Yeah.
you can go in, and if you are savvy enough to navigate the API reference,
Yes.
you can build some really cool things that just speak to one client's QuickBooks Online company. So it's not published,
Yep.
but you're creating a homegrown integration.
Yep.
And I'm not a developer,
Yep.
right? So we have the no-code tools, the low-code tools that I can understand.
Yep.
And one thing, Liz and I started Appy Hour because we clearly saw the need for developers and small businesses and accountants to be collaborating.
Yep.
Because we can see in our minds how the data should be translating properly on the accounting side.
Totally.
And the developers have that magic wand
Yep.
that can move the data where we need to go.
Completely.
So,
And I think you touched on a couple of things which are interesting and relevant. There's I would call it the simple data exchanges. So
Mhm.
from PayPal or Square or Stripe or eBay into QuickBooks and vice versa, or QuickBooks to MailChimp, as I think you all saw earlier
Yes.
today. There's also workflow automations. Like for example, with the recent launch of HubSpot for advanced, you can actually extend it, brings new functionality to QuickBooks that wasn't there, like setting an estimate or having more control over, your look and feel. It automates the workflow as well. And so I think it's fascinating. If I think about where we have been, it's about making sure customers can get data in, they can set up rules and automate as much as they can. Where I'd love to do more is that extension in those workflows so that you can do more without leaving QuickBooks, or you could actually do more without leaving the tool of your choice, but have QuickBooks do some work in the background. So that's, I think, one of the areas that we're going to.
And it's so exciting. I mean, this is such an exciting time, and it's
Yeah.
exciting to be part of it.
Yeah.
Because, 10 years ago, I would have to pay a developer to create these types of automations in a
That's right.
small business, and my clients couldn't afford to do that.
Yep.
And now we see all of these, really great connections and opportunities for us to create really customized solutions
Yeah.
for small businesses that really help to
Yeah.
streamline their operations and actually help them to compete on a wider market, right, with their
Great point.
competitors.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have been able to have access to
Exactly.
those types of solutions.
Yeah.
Previously. So it's been able to, just like us, so many of us are available to those businesses who need just a small amount of that assistance,
Yeah.
but they don't need to be able to tap into full time, or developed. So I definitely think that opening up the API to be able to have it available to gather all of that data and
Yeah.
to lead it into all of the areas that are necessary for business is important.
Yeah, no, so with the partnerships, you guys have done some big acquisitions. We were just talking about MailChimp.
Yep.
You've done your Trade Gecko,
Trade Gecko.
just now QuickBooks, part of QuickBooks Commerce.
Yep.
What's the big plan? I mean, we've been hearing for years, for at least 5 years, probably longer than that, QuickBooks, the ecosystem, it's a platform.
Mhm.
It's just it's not just a software.
Yep.
Can we expect that to continue to build out and start to see more seamless integrations
Yes.
and more in-product kind of assimilations of
Yes.
these best-in-class apps?
Absolutely. So the short answer is yes. And I think you'll start to see some of that, for example, with Advanced, where we said, hey, we won't do everything. So we're going to handpick within CRM. It's going to be, HubSpot or Salesforce, or within document management, it's going to be DocuSign. So we've said that these are the lanes we can play in, and we're going to pick some other jobs that are important to customers and make sure that there's deep integrations. MailChimp, you mentioned, my team actually was part of the team that built that first wave of integration while we were going through the diligence. And so that was a really simple, just data share back and forth. But the aha when customers, we had a small amount of customers in the first beta, we had data in QuickBooks and data in MailChimp. And we added the two together. What we found is that a sizable chunk of their audience was getting lost. So they lived in QuickBooks, but they weren't being marketed to within MailChimp because they were data islands,
Right.
even within those two, which is crazy. If I think about one of the areas, so we are right in the middle, not to go too inside baseball for this group, but we're right in the middle of our annual planning cycle. And one of the things that's on my roadmap for next year is what we call the integration layer. So really making seamless experiences between, if you choose to use QuickBooks, QB Time, and Payroll, that should feel like a single workflow
Yes.
flow rather than separate acquisitions. Equally, if you choose QuickBooks and Time and ADP or Gusto, same kind of pattern. And so just being able to enable that flexibility, because customers, it's not one size fits all. What's important for us is to earn their business based on, ideally we have first party solutions that are better. If you choose to bring your own, cool, let's make it easy for you to connect that data to.
And that really is, I mean, that's what we all want.
Yeah.
We want to log into one place. We want everything to talk to each other. We want solid financials.
Yeah.
And we want an easy reconciliation.
Totally.
With the tools that we're using.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it truly is a super exciting time. I think over the next 5, even year, 2 years, but let's look forward to 5. I think we're going to see some amazing
Yeah.
strides where we start to
Yeah.
see that super cohesiveness
Yeah,
in our tech stacks.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would even say, Chris and Matthew, you on the other side of it, from the developer point of view, being a solution, you have some exciting news, and you're working with Intuit and QuickBooks really closely. Do you want to share any of that? Your experience and what's happening?
Sure. We're very dedicated to the QuickBooks community overall. I mentioned before that we do have direct API with QuickBooks Online. We are live on the QuickBooks app marketplace. So speaking of extending functionality with your app ecosystem, we absolutely do that. Just look at us as the global payables automation solution that takes Intuit QuickBooks to the next level. And we keep adding functionality as well. So we were talking before about our acquisition of Approve. That's our PO management solution that directly integrates with Tipalti. So just like Intuit, it continues to invest in their solutions, we're doing the same on our end and ensuring that it works as best as possible to enhance all QuickBooks users' experiences going forward. So absolutely.
That's great. Thank you for sharing.
So,
Absolutely.
Jeremy, our audience primarily in Happy Hour are accounting professionals. What do they need to know? What do they need to know? What can they do? How can they get involved in all of this innovation and strategic alliances?
Yeah.
How do they get involved?
Yeah, I love that question. Let me give you just 2 things to throw out there as ideas, and I'm open to the floodgates of others that come in. one big learning for me in the last I've been in this role for about a year and a half, call it almost 2 years.
Mhm.
One of my big learnings as I went through is that if you look at the customer journey from when they first start running their business, they're choosing tools based on what they need then. They need Excel, they might need PayPal, they might need a Gmail account. As they get more complex and have more sales, they might need a QuickBooks, they might need a CRM, they might need a DocuSign. What was interesting to me is they're not dropping tools along the way, they're aggregating tools along the way. So they're adding complexity. And so I think first question is, if they're coming to you as accounting professionals early in their life cycle, how do we get them set up to the right sort of cockpit or dashboard to run their business? What are the right apps that they should be choosing early on that are durable and will stick with them and not require workarounds in the future? I think that would be one, because we can also help to figure out what that suite of products should look like, or that suite of apps should look like for a real estate vertical or for a construction vertical.
So is that a questionnaire that you're designing to be able to say, I mean, like, that's where my mind goes, is that
Yeah.
we've got to pull out some information to be able
Yeah.
to see what industry are they in, where are they starting at?
Yes.
Where's the location that they're at? So all of those pieces come into play to
That's
be
right.
able to build out an app stack.
Yes, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And so I think that would be the one side of like, how do accounting professionals help customers get set up regardless of where they are in their life cycle? I think the second is an opportunity for me, which is how do I make it dead easy for you all to not wade through the 700 plus apps and say, okay, well, what are the two that I should really care about? And so how do I create some of that questionnaire or self-selection material for you that says, I work in this region or I work in this industry. Here are the 2 or 3 that I can trust, that won't break my books, have clean workflows, that maybe have some level of like personal authentication. So I'm not showing everybody all of my data. Maybe if I have employees. So I think that those are the 2 opportunities that I would see is, and both kind of come back as like, how can I help you help your clients, and how can I help you help yourselves?
And you know, with Tipalti being here, one of the things that I would even say is that you would also probably like that too, that filtering down of making sure that if that questionnaire was filled out or you know, that's, you know, some type of filtering to be able to say, this is the best type of customer for us. Because a lot of you are designing for a specific type of user, right?
You know,
Right, definitely. And I would say that it even helps our implementation team as they're looking at it and they know, okay, this is what we have, and here's how I can share best practices based on what I've done with previous customers. Let's share that with them, right? So I see it from that lens also.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really communication. It's what it's all about. Is that if you see something that would make whatever product you're using better, or you know, you need to say something.
That's right.
Right? You need to be proactive and reach out and say, hey, I have this idea.
Yeah.
You know, ideas are gifts. They should be free.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should
Yeah.
be free. But I think that's something that I learned along the way was that feedback really does make a difference.
Huge
So,
difference. Huge difference.
Well, we just got a little bit of feedback too. So Keith said that webinars like these keeps him informed about what's going on. Thank you. That is exactly what we're trying to accomplish is we want to be able to share freely with our community what solutions are out there, how do you use them, who's the best case for those solutions, and then to also make sure that we're continuing this partnership with the accounting software so we have this end-to-end solution, truly.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, well,
Had to go there.
yeah.
Had to
Happy to
go
be
there.
here.
Gotcha. What'd you say, geek earlier?
I said geeky geek. I think it was like 6 syllables of geek,
Wow.
all in one sentence. Yeah. Yeah. So embrace your geekiness, of course.
Love it.
Super fun. So Jeremy, thank you.
Yeah, let's be here.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.